Olá a todos, bem-vindos a mais uma conversa da Look Meg. Hoje tenho enormíssimo prazer de ter comigo aqui o Sven, exatamente o vocalista da banda belga Aborted. Temos grandes fãs cá por casa e eu sei que também temos grandes fãs pela audiência que nos está a ouvir. Por isso, vamos todos tentar descobrir muita coisa sobre este verdadeiro ícone do universo do metal. Sven, first of all, thank you for accepting our invitation and welcome to our talks.
Thank you. Thank you.
I begin by telling that we are big fans and we have two big fans in the house, my son and my husband. So it is an enormous honor to have you here with us. To begin, I would like, because somebody told me to ask you this, because they need to know. You know, when you have 22 years old, the age of my son, he tells me, Mom, I need to know. Okay, so
Okay.
he needs to know back in 1995 what led you to have a band and to want to be a vocalist.
I think it's mainly because the town I grew up in had a very active scene, and a lot of my friends were in bands, so that's kind of how I got into the scene as well. And back in the day, I was helping some of them out with lyrics, vocals, and all that kind of stuff. So at some point, I just wanted to do my own thing. So I think that's kind of how I got into it,
Mhm.
to put it that way.
And while music, you could be, I don't know, skateboarder, painter, I don't know, a soccer
I mean,
player, whatever.
no, not soccer. I hate soccer. No. I mean, I I guess music again because that's kind of how things were, and you get influenced by obviously the environment that you grow up
Of
around.
course.
Uh, but I'm more than just a musician. I have a different profession as well. I'm also a designer, so
Yeah.
I'm
You
always
are,
drawn to creative things, let's say.
yeah, yeah. I was telling that you are all an artist, with your mind, in your soul, and your hands, right?
There we go.
That's pretty cool. Do you remember the first metal album or not that you ever bought?
The first one I ever bought, I think one of the first must have been the Body Count self-titled record. I think that must have been one of the first. Through a friend, you know. After that, it spiraled very quickly down to Napalm Death Carcass, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. As I said, I have two guys laying home like that. So
Hmm.
now I'm very curious. Why the name Aborted to the band?
Oh, well, that had a good reason back then. I'm a very logical person, and you know, record stores were big back in the day.
Yeah.
So I figured, you know what, you have to be smart about this kind of stuff. So uh, I wanted to pick a name that would be first in the CD racks. So AB, you know.
But it could be, I don't know, Apple. But no, you put it Aborted.
Yeah, because also it's a brutal name in a way, but also it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with abortion. It
Yeah, of
has
course.
many different meanings. So it was kind of open-ended. And I mean,
One of the
still
things
aggressive. Hmm.
is still aggressive. One of the things that everyone recognizes when sees somewhere is the logo. So I
Hmm.
want to ask you, it's nobody confuses your logo. Uh, do you create yourself the logo or somebody created with you back then?
No, back then, we had a different logo in the very, very beginning, which was never really used on anything except maybe a rehearsal tape that we did before the the first actual demo. But the logo that we use now was created by Christophe Spasdel. who also did the Emperor Cradle of Filth logos. He's done so many logos, it's hard to keep track. But he did the initial draft. It was a little bit too busy, we
Mhm.
felt at the time. So back in the day, we kind of we used the, Type X whiteout on paper because he drew the logo on paper,
Paper.
and we kind of changed some stuff. The guitarists we had back then, Nick, kind of removed some stuff and cleaned up some stuff, and then I kind of gave it a little squeeze. All the letters were the same, size, so I kind of like in Photoshop back in the day, kind of give it a squeeze so it had that more that, arched form that it has now with the A and the D being bigger.
Many persons that are listening to us right now are not from that era, from
Hmm.
another century. Now
Yeah,
you do everything in computer and
yeah.
your profession also. But back then was everything on paper. I suppose today they can't imagine how hard it was.
I mean, some of it was on paper, but some of it was also digitally. I mean, the layouts were done, on a computer and everything. But when we did our demo, it was is very, you do design, you print it yourself, you go to a copy center and then you copy everything. It's
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember to go to copy center and to do all that stuff that everybody now does at home with his own printer next to the
yeah.
computer. Everything's changed so much. Back
Hmm.
then, what were the main influences behind the sound and behind all the, I don't know, the scenario around the band?
I'd say musically, it was always a mixture of, I'd say, Suffocation,
Hmm.
Dying Fetus, Entombed, for example, Dismember,
Nice.
Slayer, Hatebreed, stuff like that. So we always tried to mix death metal with some more groove and
Yeah.
some melody also, but like always like darker kind of stuff. No, we never. It was never any, happier stuff. It was always kind of dissonant, dark, heavy shit.
And you kind of singing. Did you look up to somebody and to say, I want to be like him?
Yeah, I mean, I had my influences, of course. I think for me, the three big ones were always Frank Mullen from Suffocation, Jeff Walker from Carcass, and Bo Summer from Ill Disposed. But, that was the inspirations, and I always just kind of wanted to do my own thing and have my own sound. So I took the inspirations and tried to do my own thing with it.
Yeah, and all these years, as after all these years, I think you've succeeded because nobody confuses with nobody else. It's your own sound, that's for sure. When you start,
Yeah.
when you start singing, Sven, did you ever hurt your voice back then?
Uh, depends what you call hurt. I mean, obviously, he there was no, YouTube videos and coaches and tutorials and shit. It was just figure it out as you go. So I think it's just hurt, not really. I would say not to the point where I would, damage it permanently. But obviously, there's moments like never forget that the first time you play multiple shows in a row, you're like, how the hell am I gonna do this every day?
I imagine.
So you'd obviously sometimes if you haven't done it for a while or whatnot, you're not properly warmed up or monitoring is bad. Now we have in-ear monitoring, which makes it a lot easier.
Easier.
But when, I had shit monitors and then you have adrenaline, you push too hard, and then the next day you're like, "Eh." So, that
When you,
kind of stuff, but,
yeah,
nothing too serious.
nothing too serious. Did you practice at home?
No, of course. At the great pleasure of my parents and neighbors.
I want to tell you a secret. My son, he had a band, and he sang like you because you are one of his main influences. He had a T-shirt of Aborted. Now it was black. Now it's gray. Imagine so. And when he played and sung and sing in his room, we had a neighbor when he found him in the elevator. he would ask, "Hello, David, how are you?" And the singing is going well, huh? Poor guy. I think it was horrible for him.
Yeah, understandable.
Understandable. And what did your parents say to you?
I don't know. They probably thought it was fucking crazy.
Yeah, okay. From grindcore or death metal, which one is easier to sing?
I mean, it's the same to me.
Yeah.
It's not really. I mean, grindcore or death metal. There's it there. It's all the same. Let's say same section of music. It's just different subgenres. And there's subtleties that are different, but to me, there's not really, especially vocally, there's not really that big a difference.
Mm-hmm. And do you take special care now of your voice or no?
I mean, yeah, throughout the years, you learn what, you know, is good for you and what's bad for you. So sleeping's important, making sure you drink enough water. Water,
Water.
yeah. I avoid alcohol as much as possible. I don't really drink much anyway. Just making sure I'm hydrated, I sleep enough, and when your voice is kind of you can feel the wear and tear, just shut the hell up until you actually need to use it.
Yeah.
And make sure you warm up properly, more so at the beginning of a tour when you haven't done it for a while. But after you've been playing shows for like every day for a week or something, the warm up is, I mean, it takes minutes and it's done.
Mm-hmm. Minutes before the gig, so it's ready to go.
N- No, I
No.
usually, warm up during the day and then,
Oh.
I mean, it's ready to go. As long as you don't go back to sleep, you kind of, you're good.
That's a good advice for those that are listening to us. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Back in 2025, in March, I think it was March, you launched the Vault of Horrors. Um, I know the inspiration behind this album, but I want to ask you why this name for the album?
Because it's relevant to what it is. It's a collection about horror movies, and at the same time, it's a creep show uh, a reference. It's one of the show comics was called Vault of Horrors. And Creepshow is also a collection, an anthology of horror stories. So it kind of in two ways made total sense to do that.
And what fascinates you? What fascinates you so much in the horror films, movies, atmosphere?
I mean, I grew up with them. The 80s was kind of, the
Uh,
golden age of what we'd call horror. There's a lot of original ideas being passed around. There's a certain charm and grit to it. So I grew up with it, really. But also it's an escapism, I guess. A lot of fantastical stories that take you out of to a different world and um try to scare you. Nothing really scares me in horror movies, to be honest, but it's I find a lot of the stories interesting. There's often also some sort of message in there, which is also what we kind of try to do with the band throughout the years. And it fits the musical, sphere that we're in.
mhm.
You know,
What?
it's heavy, it's brutal shit. Can't really be talking about, Britney Spears' asshole or some shit.
I love it. I would love to see you think about that.
Ah, she's too scary.
It's scary. You never jump when you see a like this when you see a horror movie. No, never.
Not really,
You always ready for whatever it comes.
I mean, most of them really aren't funny, aren't, scary if you think about it. I mean, obviously there's jump scares, but jump scares are not really scary. It's just like, the music gets louder and you get surprised, but it's not like, oh no, oh my God, I can't watch this. No, I mean, there's obviously shocking movies, but
Yeah.
to me, that's not really the most interesting kind of horror. If you have stuff like a Serbian film or stuff like that. It's just bad cinema that uses shock value to, get talked about.
Hmm. There are so many horror movies and good ones, and I jump a lot in horror movies, and I do like this. I don't want to see, but okay.
Okay.
But to do this album, how did you choose the victims from the endless arsenal of great horror movies that exists and that you
No,
like?
I mean, I picked some classics that I obviously personally have a reference to, along with, some more known ones.
Hmm.
So, people have a point of reference, and can identify with them. And then I think like 50-50 was classics that everybody knows, and then 50% was a bit more the obscure stuff. So people that get into the music have something, maybe that they haven't seen to check out.
And the writing process was easy to do.
It took a while. I mean, the music was written over a year and a half, I guess, something like that. Daniel wrote a lot of it. Ken wrote the other part,
Mhm.
and then we worked on the structures together. We also had 2-3 days of pre-production with Dave Otero at the studio to kind of listen to the demos that we had and rework the songs. And lyrically, I think I'd say about half was written before we hit the studio. I also did some pre-productions, and the other half was written at the studio, finished up there. And for the Golgothan, for example, I set myself a challenge. It's a song about a shit demon, right? So our guitarist Daniel was out taking a shit, and I was gonna record the song the next day. So I set myself the goal to finish writing the lyrics in the time that he went to take a shit, and I did it. So yeah,
You did it.
yeah, 15 minutes.
15 minutes. Oh God. He knows that story. He knows he was the
Oh
main
yeah, he knows.
and he's happy about that.
I mean, he wasn't the inspiration. It's about the movie
I know.
Dogma, but I was like, I'm gonna set myself a challenge and write a song about shit in 15 minutes, and or the time it takes them to finish. And I did. I finished before him, so
You finished before him.
yeah.
Beside all the scenario and all the story of the horror movies, do you find the soundtracks of those movies also attractive?
Yeah, so I'm a big collector of soundtracks actually. That's why I started collecting vinyl actually. I
Oh,
don't buy too many metal vinyls, but most of the vinyls that I buy are horror movie or movie soundtracks. So yeah, absolutely.
do
There's a
you
lot
have
of
do you have a favorite one?
um depends. Musically, I'd say most of the John Carpenter ones are really cool. But when it comes to actually really scary soundtracks, I'd say the Child's Play soundtrack and the It remake, the first one, soundtrack is scary as hell too.
Scary as hell. And
Yeah.
now I have to ask you this. When we see a movie, we see all the clothes and the story and everything. But when you listen to the soundtracks, uh, you listen to what? To inspire you? To relax you? Or to what?
I mean, it depends. Usually I'll listen while I'm working, so
Oh,
yeah.
brings you to another universe.
There we go.
There we go. There we go. You have a lot of guests in the record. Did it change the way the work was done? Your part of the job, shall we say?
No, not really. Everything was already recorded by me, and they just got the songs, and they're like, "All right, here are the parts that I want you to do."
Mhm.
Um, and then they did it. Or I also said, like, if you want to add some parts or change some stuff, go ahead. But the only person that really changed anything was Ollie from Archfire. he kind of did his own thing, and then went really really fast. And then I'm like, cool, thanks, man. I got to do this live. Thanks. But yeah, I mean, it's fine. We managed. And I think Ben changed a small bit in Dreadbringer and added a small bit, but all the others kind of just followed what was written already. I think Dave from Signs of the Swarm added a part two, but for the rest, it's fairly just following what was done.
Would you like someday to put on a stage the record with all the people that contributed to him? Really?
That sounds like a pain in the ass. I don't know where we would get all these people in the same place, But if ever it's possible, sure.
Yeah, it would be cool. It will. Why not in Lisbon, huh? Huh?
Sure, let's get all the Americans and Europeans to Lisbon.
Everybody comes to an holiday at the beach, huh?
So,
With red wine. Everybody comes. Tell me one thing. You had an experience. I read that you made vocals for a game. Is
mhm.
that true? Tell me about that
Yeah,
experience.
yeah. So I participated in the metal choir for the game Doom Eternal. So along with like 20, 30 other vocalists, and I think we all spent a full day of 8 hours of recording with Mick Gordon together in like a theater um in in Austin. It was right before we had a tour for the album Television. So timing wise, it worked out perfectly. I flew in earlier. I went to Austin and did the recording session with everybody, and then had a couple days off and started the tour.
Did you enjoy the experience?
Yeah, it's crazy. I've never done a full 8 day, recording, screaming, but Uh, Mick Gordon was very, very cool to work with. He was very energized, and he kept the energy going very strong the whole day to keep everybody motivated. And there's a lot. Everybody was really nice and talented in all their own field of doing vocals, and it was a very interesting and unique experience that I think not only a lot of friendships were formed that day
Yeah.
that still last, and a lot of really cool people and a very unique experience.
Hmm. I was thinking about one thing. Um, you like so much soundtracks. Have you ever imagined doing one?
I mean, soundtracks don't usually have vocals, so that kind of ruled me out. So not really.
Not really. But imagine you could do the vocals for a demon, or you could act as a demon. Huh? No?
I
In a
mean, there was a movie that they tried to make in the Netherlands, a zombie movie, and actually, I can't. They were asking for people to get in touch to be in the movie, to be either dying or be a zombie, and a friend of mine and I actually both submitted ourselves, but the movie never got made, so it never happened. But yeah, that would have been interesting.
another career for you, huh? Beside vocalist.
Yeah, why not? It's not like I don't have enough going on.
Exactly. We saw you in Lisbon in 1999, I think, with Entombed. I suppose it was with Entombed.
2019. Yeah.
Yes, 2019. And you are very, very energetic on stage. Do you prepare yourself physically for a gig or
No,
not?
no,
No,
no. I just get angry.
you just get angry.
Yeah, I just
With
get angry.
us? With us?
No, I just get angry. In general.
In general, not with the audience.
No, no. I get angry with the audience when they suck.
And when do the audience suck? When they don't
Eh,
dance? Hmm?
I guess so. Yeah.
You- No, but they always dance because it's impossible to stand still when you are on stage and your companions of band. I think this album is very intense. So I would like to ask you, um, the next concert that we shall see you in Lisbon, it will be even more intense than the one in 2019?
I think so. Yeah, we're playing a lot of new stuff, so I
Oh,
think over half the set is new shit. So it's pretty intense to play. It's we didn't make it easy on ourselves. I'll put it that way.
it's more tough for you and your friends on stage.
Yeah, but, you know, it's cool.
It's
Challenge.
challenge, challenge. You are coming to Lisbon on the 2nd of May. What can we expect from this concert, Sven?
You can expect a cool looking horror production on stage and some
Nice.
crazy ass shit happening and some funny stuff. You know, we always try to keep a balance between the extreme music and the horror side of things, but also, you know, have some fun with it.
Have some fun with it. And what are your expectations regarding this concert? You know the audience in Portugal, so
I mean, it was sick when we played with Entombed. People were going crazy, stage diving the whole time. I think some people got hurt pretty bad, so it was good. It was a really good show, so I'm expecting it to be the same.
to be the same, to be the same. Um, I want to make you a challenge because before we go. What would you like to say to someone that is kind of indecisive to go to the concert or not? What would you say to them to come?
Don't be a little bitch and come to the show.
Oh, I won't. I'll be there. So,
Yeah.
Sven, thank you so much for being here. It was a great pleasure. And I hope to see you in Lisbon on the 2nd of May. So, stay cool, stay healthy, and have a nice journey to Lisbon.
Thank you.
Bye
See you
bye.
there.
Bye bye. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.